So we are balls deep into the offseason, and in today's video, I'm going to be ranking the top 10 teams going into the 2024 NBA season. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below what you guys think. But without further ado, let's get into things. First up, got some honorable mentions in no particular order. Firstly, I've got the Cleveland Cavaliers. I just don't think they've really improved that much in the offseason. They invested $88 million into Max Strus and George Niang. They don't really do much. I've got them as an honorable mention. Next up, I've got the New Orleans Pelicans. Really boils down to whether or not Zion's going to be healthy. Obviously, they were the 1 seed last season when he was, starting off the year strong and playing some great basketball. I don't trust him to be healthy. Do you? Next up, I've got the Sacramento Kings. Fairy tale season, but their biggest offseason acquisition was Chris Duarte, who had a pretty down year overall. And when you look at the rest of the West, which improved a lot, I just don't think the Kings are going to be as competitive this upcoming season in comparison to last season. And lastly, I've got the Philadelphia 76ers. Look, if there wasn't so much drama going on, these guys would have been a lock for the top 10. But obviously with the James Harden stuff going on, he's not reporting to training camp, called Daryl Morey a liar. And now there's a lot of uncertainty around Joel Embiid's future as well. There's teams sussing out things there. I just can't rank them in the top 10. Kicking things off in the top 10, I've got the Miami Heat. Now, obviously, a trade for Damian Lillard would push these guys into the top 5 perhaps. But right now, as the roster stands, it's just very lackluster, okay? I know that they made the NBA Finals last season. They had a fairy tale run. But let's not forget that they finished the regular season with the number 8 seed. And this year, when I look at their team, they lost Gabe Vincent. Kyle Lowry's going to turn 38 years of age. So if they don't get Dame, they've got a huge hole at the point guard position. I actually think their best solution is starting Jimmy at their point guard spot. Perhaps putting Caleb Martin into the starting lineup and bring Kyle Lowry off the bench. I don't know, right? And you look at the rest of their roster. They have a huge hole at that 4 position unless they plan to play, Hayward Highsmith, Caleb Martin, or Kevin Love at the 4. It's just, you're not really going to get anywhere with a combination of those guys starting at the 4 spot. Now, I look at the rest of the roster. Josh Richardson, love the addition. Thomas Bryant, love that addition as well. He can play the backup center position and do something that Cody Zeller couldn't, which is play basketball offensively. But overall, I just can't justify ranking the Heat any higher than number 10 until a Damian Lillard trade comes, I suppose. At number 9, I've got the LA Clippers. And look, if you need a team which is pretty much going to be a top 10 team in the regular season, get you somewhere between a 4 to 6 seed in the Western Conference and a lock for the playoffs, only to disappoint in the playoffs, then look no further than the Clippers. At this stage, that's pretty much what you expect. Kawhi and PG, injured throughout the regular season. One or both of them will be injured for the playoffs. They play the playoffs, they get bounced in the first or second round, rinse and repeat. Now, in terms of the offseason, very successful offseason, I'd say, keeping Russ. And who knows, if they get Harden, that can make things very, very interesting. They could actually shoot up the rankings as well. But right now, as it stands, there's just really not much to it. They're a good, not great team. I think dumping Marcus Morris would have made their offseason all the more better. But we'll wait and see if a Harden trade does happen. At number 8, I've got the Dallas Mavericks, who this offseason they brought in Grant Williams, Seth Curry. Love those signings, especially Grant Williams. He's pretty much the perfect role player to pair with 2 ball-dominant stars, right? Seth Curry, any team can use a shooter like that off the bench. I think that you look at the way this team is constructed, I feel like a full offseason, a full training camp with Luka and Kyrie is going to help them a lot going into next season. Obviously, they didn't have the most success last season when playing together, but I do expect them to get better with more chemistry building and things like that. But you just can't justify them ranking any higher than number 8. At number 7, I've got the Memphis Grizzlies. Obviously, Ja Morant serving a 25-game suspension to start the season, but I love the acquisition of Marcus Smart. I do think he's going to hold the fort down when starting at that point guard spot in the absence of Morant. We did see last season with the Celtics that the Celtics had a very, very good record when Smart was playing more as a playmaker rather than a shot chucker. So expect the Grizzlies to actually play a bit better than expected. Now, he's also a great fit because once Morant comes back, you can easily slide him alongside at that 2 spot, something that you couldn't do with Tyus Jones. And he fits that culture in Memphis, that grit and grind mentality like a glove. So it's really a great fit there. I just look at their bench, have some concerns in terms of depth because their bench right now is Derrick Rose, Luke Kennard, you've got Roddy, Xavier Tillman, and Brandon Clark. So more so at that wing and guard spots, you were a little bit thin, but they should be fine overall. Next up, at number 6, I've got the Golden State Warriors. Big storyline, obviously. Added CP3. I think bringing him in that second unit is just unfair, man. You can put CP3, bring me off the bench, bring you off the bench, bring a bunch of scrubs from your local park off the bench, and it's still going to be one of the best benches in the NBA. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to see the dynamic that CP3 brings to the Warriors. Last season, the starting five, obviously Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond, and Looney, they had a plus 21.9 net rating in the regular season and a plus 20.9 net rating in the playoffs. They're not going anywhere. They're in at number 6 for me. At number 5, I've got the Phoenix Suns, who, ironically enough, I think they're a CP3 type of a player, like a pure playmaker, table setter kind of guy, away from being a serious championship contender. Obviously, they're still contenders because you got fucking KD, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal and the rest of the guys. But in order to be a true championship contender, you do need a table setter, which the Suns just don't have. To his credit, Devin Booker was a fucking gun when running the point guard position last season without Chris Paul. I think he averaged 6.5 assists per game without CP3 this past season. So the potential is there. But beyond that, who's your point guard? You're going to play KD or Beal at your point guard position? Devin Booker, look, he showed great flashes, but he's not a natural point guard. And then beyond that, who do you have? Sabin Lee. I don't know what they're going to do. They even traded Cameron Payne away to the Spurs. So there's a huge question mark there. So I've got them at number 5. At number 4, I've got my Boston Celtics. Look, there's still a lot of question marks with this team, but I don't think that Brad Stevens is done making moves this offseason because that man is hoarding second round picks like no tomorrow. I think he's going to make a move either before the season starts or probably at the end of the trade deadline. So keep an eye out on that. Look, overall, the Celtics, they're very top heavy. Don't have too much depth. And there is some question marks at point guard, obviously with the departure of Marcus Smart. I think they're going to be fine. Derek White absolutely excelled when playing at that starting point guard role without Smart last season. Averaged 15.1 points, 4.3 rebounds, 5.1 assists per game. Now, the biggest concern for me is just vibes with this team. You lost Marcus Smart and Grant Williams, which were two big locker room personalities. Obviously, their fit on the basketball court was amazing as well. Would have loved to have kept Smart instead of Malcolm Brogdon. Grant Williams, I think, would have been a very good insurance net because Al Horford's old as hell. Robert Williams and Kristaps Porzingis, you can't really rely on their health. So there's a lot of question marks there. But like I said, I don't think Brad Stevens is done making moves. And at the end of the day, you've got a big three in Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kristaps Porzingis. And you've got a decent supporting cast, with Derek White, Al Horford, Robert Williams, a lot of other guys. So they're here to stay. But I think there's more to be done. So I've got them at number 4. At number 3, kind of pains me to say it, but I've got the LA Lakers above my Boston Celtics, and they've had the perfect offseason, man. They signed Gabe Vincent to the MLE, $33 million over 3 years, locked in Taurean Prince, they kept Rui Hachimura, kept Austin Reeves at an absolute bargain of a deal, brought in Jackson Hayes, I suppose. They're fucking stacked, man. And you look at Austin Reeves right now, he's balling out for Team USA. I was someone that always kind of said that I always gave him his flowers, and I was getting bashed in the comment section as well for saying that Austin Reeves, giving him more credit than I suppose people thought he deserved back then. But look at the Lakers. As long as LeBron and AD are healthy, bit of a question mark, they're going to be damn fucking good, man. And I still think they are probably one reliable center away from being a championship level team. They're probably still a championship level team if I'm being honest, but if you bring in a defensive-minded center, a 2020 Dwight Howard type of guy, someone that you can just bring in to guard Nikola Jokic, I suppose, they'll be in a much, much better position. So, got the Lakers at number 3. At number 2, I've got the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, as long as you have a healthy Giannis, Middleton, and Holiday, you're pretty much guaranteed to be a top 2 to 3 team in the NBA at worst, right? Now, one thing that I do want to bring up is the loss of Javon Carter. I think it is a pretty big loss because this is someone who you could easily play around Giannis as a backup ball handler, could shoot the 3 pretty well, pitbull defensively, just a great all-around player that any team could use. And in addition to that, they lost Joe Ingles as well. So the question really is now, who's going to be that backup point guard behind Drew Holiday? It's most likely just going to be a combination of Middleton and Giannis, which it's not ideal, but I guess isn't the worst thing in the world. But like I said, as long as you got their big 3 healthy, they're pretty much a top 3 team at worst. And at number 1, it's got to be the reigning champs, the Denver Nuggets. Now, obviously they lost Bruce Brown to the Indiana Pacers, and that's a big loss, especially on a bench which is already as thin as it is. But hey, I trust in Nikola Jokic, the rightful MVP. And look, this is an opportunity for a lot of the young guys to kind of step up and show what they're made of, I suppose, right? You got Christian Brown, had a very good playoff run. He's going to get a bigger role this season. He can probably be their Bruce Brown this next season as well. You got Peyton Watson, who's got a ton of potential as well. Zeke Naji. These are guys that I'd look forward to, once you have a full training camp under their belt and an increased responsibility, I suppose. I expect these guys to absolutely step up to the plate and play well. So I've got the Denver Nuggets rounding things off at number 1. But look, let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you guys very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.